for it to actually go live because I've discovered that every time I click the button, it's about 10 seconds after I start talking that it actually picks up. So
Okay.
hopefully we are live now. Welcome to anyone who tunes in. Uh, let's go ahead and just introduce ourselves, Kaitlyn, because I am guessing that we're going to be seen by some people who haven't seen who we are before. So do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself first?
Yeah, perfect. I can do that. So my name's Caitlin. I'm a psychic moon mentor. I work with intuitives and empaths to help them strengthen their intuition. And I love working with spiritual entrepreneurs to help them remember their power and get them to their next level in business.
Yes, remembering their power is such important work right now. I feel
Mm,
like that's where we're all collectively at right now, is like just trying to remember who we are and what we forgot on the way in that we were supposed to remember. So
yeah.
that's such important work. So I'm Safrianna Lughna. I'm the Queer Spirit Guide, co-founder of Living Luna. I work with LGBTQIA folks and their allies, polyamorous people, and entrepreneurs with invisible chronic conditions to, very similarly to Caitlin, kind of remember who they are and find their zone of genius and their zone of joy through ritual and guidance, guardianship, guidanceship. Still figuring out all the vocabulary words. So Caitlin and I are on this super awesome book project together. That's how we met. So, Caitlin, how did you find Soul Alchemy?
Um, I don't know. I don't know how I was following Jess, the leader of this project, and she was on live, and I randomly started watching one of her lives, and I was just like, "Oh my god, I feel this!" And I already was starting to have downloads as I'm like watching her, and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna watch some of her content." And then she mentioned the project, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna have a conversation with her. Like, I don't know, because I already set the intention at the beginning of the year. Like, I want to get back into creative writing. Like, I was something I love so much, and had been a part of, like, away from it for a good while. And then we had a conversation, and I was just like, oh my, like, just her energy is like
Yes.
so powerful and like loving, and I was like, I need this. I just need to be more in her energy. Like, it's magical.
Yes. And so Jess is a natural number 9, like I am. And I have my body of 9 mug here. I'm such a body of 9 junkie. It's like not even funny. Um, I loved meeting Jess because it was like meeting that like soul twin. Like, oh, this is how our energy shows up in the world. And I don't know that I'd ever met another person like me until I met Jess. So it was just this like really cool coming home for me. So of course I was on a book project with her last year called Raising Wild Ones, and that's where I learned my natural number. And when she posted about soul alchemy, I was like, I have to be on this project. I have to be on this project. I don't know how I'm going to make it happen, but I'm going to freaking make it happen. And I did. So thank goodness. But as soon as that cover reveal went up, like I just felt this like overwhelming sense of magic. Like this is going to be so important to the people who need it.
Mm-hmm.
So what is your chapter about?
Yeah, well, it's funny. So I was already sort of in the energy of what she was saying that the project, which was about, which is like this like soul alchemy, which we both touched on, is like part of our work, and what we love is helping people remember their power, right? And so I wanted to share my story of how I came to do what I do now. And so that's what it's about, this journey of how I started to lean more into my passions and my passions in work and career, and was getting closer and closer to exactly what I wanted to do. And then I got fired for the first time in my life. Right? So you have this like ego, like blow up, like, I didn't do anything wrong. And then that really led me to be like, F it. Like, I'm only doing things that I want to do. I'm saying yes to everything I'm curious about and wanted to get into. And so I would say that was like my spiritual awakening as well. You know, it led me to buy my first tarot deck, which I was always interested in from a young age, but was like, no, you know, listening to other people's opinions and like, having a Christian background and upbringing is like, oh, that could be bad, you know. And I was like, F it, you know, if it's bad, I'll know it and I can like stop doing it. Like,
Yes.
big deal. And yeah, and found Moonology, which, oh my God, obviously I became addicted to, and just like, yeah, that was her book was one of the first things I purchased at that time. And so, yeah, yeah.
Wow. Uh, so that is such a really good point that you just brought up of like, if it's bad, I'll know, right? I remember hearing these stories as I was starting to get kind of interested because similarly to what you just shared, like I grew up Christian, but we didn't like go to church a lot, but like the ideals were very, very stated like constantly. I remember being 4, crying in bed, praying that I was not going to get smote down that night, which I just don't think any child should have to do, first of all. But like
Right?
later, when I started hearing these, like, well, you know, these cards are satanic or whatever, or, like they're going to lead you to evil, I was like, you know, I'm pretty sure I know what evil feels like in me, right? And I'm going to know in my own sovereign autonomy if something's right or wrong for me. And like to let people have that choice and that ability to explore like what feels authentic to them, I think is the most important spiritual mission we can possibly be on. Like everybody finds their own path. And like how beautiful would that be?
So epic. I'm telling people all the time, like, follow your curiosity. Like, that is your intuition. Because so many people ask me, like, how do you strengthen your intuition? Or, oh, a common, you know, problem is, you know, how do I know it's intuition versus like ego? But it's really sort of that feeling and this pattern that you have to learn, that you have to practice at first, to do exactly what you just said. Connect inward, connect with yourself. What feels good for me, and letting that be enough, letting that be the guide. And that's a huge mission of mine, is like, remember this power and you're going to blow up like every area of your life in the most beautiful, beautiful way.
Yeah. Morningstar just said, I support religious freedom. I don't worship because no one can call down their God. Yeah, I love what a great way. Like none of us can call down some higher power to do the smiting or whatever, right? Like we're all kind of playing on the same field when we think about it. And yeah, like religious freedom is, I think, something that should really be fought for. Not religious freedom to shove our religion down other people's throats, but to express it for ourselves and to be able to say, here's an offering. And if you want to explore this, like I'm here and you can come explore this with me. And then that permission, I feel like is everything because that's where we get to follow that curiosity and that sort of impulse, right? Like, oh, that's lighting me up. I want to follow that. I remember the first time my first card deck was the Mystic Fairy Tarot. And like I remember I was wandering through the bookstore. I was 18. I'd just run away from home. And like I just saw the artwork and I was like, "Oh, there's something about this artwork that's really speaking to me." And then like that led me to really this major awakening where I found like my druid path. So it's so cool to hear like these kind of commonalities. So what are you hoping people are going to take away from your chapter? Like is it that you can follow your curiosity? Is it authenticity? Like what would you say is your big takeaway?
Yeah, my big takeaway is for them to really, for to help people get off the fence. So for those people who have been like, "Ooh, I'm curious about developing a spiritual practice, but oh, my religion, does it allow for that?" Right? Sort of a little bit about what we've been talking about. It's like, well, you can incorporate that into your spiritual practice. Like I do. I still work with Jesus and work with
Same.
angels and like pray, and I do yoga and I meditate and I love the Sanskrit language and Kundalini
Mm,
yoga and like chanting meditations and all of these things. And so you can really blend them together. Like it doesn't have to be just one thing, and you get to decide for yourself, but start to play and start to see what feels good and kind of what doesn't. And you mentioned before of diving into the project with Jess, diving into soul alchemy and like saying yes, even though it's like, I don't know how this is gonna work out, I don't know how, but okay, yes. And that's part of my story that I'm sharing in the chapter as well, of like, okay, I lost my job, but I had a big trip planned with some girlfriends, and it's like, oh fuck, I have no income coming in. Do I continue and go on this trip that's going to be so fun, and that like my heart is totally in and I'm like so totally excited to go? Or do I sink back into fear and go, no, I have to search for jobs and I have to, I can't, how am I going to do it? And I leaned into the fun and the excited, and it worked. It worked out. It's a kind of a crazy story actually, because at the time there was a hurricane also coming into where I was traveling into. Luckily, Texas is a really huge state, so the hurricane only hit like the tip, but I was going into San Antonio, which was like fairly close. So it's like all these things were happening, and just lost my job. Oh crap, now there's a hurricane coming into where I'm supposed to fly into. No, it's going to work out. I'm trusting that it's going to work out, because I was following that feeling. I was choosing to do something new, and so have this logical and this overthinking pattern, be like, no, it's fun, it's going to work out, I'm going to get the job I already applied for that I really really want, and I'm going to go have fun with my girlfriends. And I did. And so I'm hoping that that inspires people to be like, okay, maybe there's something to what these people are saying of, I don't know how it's going to work out, but you know what, it is. And leaning in and taking that action and following that feeling. And then it's interesting, I'm sure how the universe helped you along the way make that dream possible, make that image of yours possible.
Yeah, when we follow our joy, like everything sort of falls into place with that. And I just want to acknowledge Morningstar on YouTube is sharing some really cool of their own experiences in studying palmistry, numerology, and astrology. Like all of these tools, right? When we open ourselves to making our own path, like you just said, I also work with Jesus. I also work with angels. I work with Brigid. I've got Aryan Rod on my altar over here. Like these cosmic energies, gods, goddesses, angels, ancestors, guardians, guides, there's no one right answer. It's so unique and individual, and I love when we can blend these things together, because then it's serving us and our highest self. My chapter is I work in a lot of metaphor, like a lot of metaphor. The chapter I wrote for the first book with Jess was about how we're all a garden, like and people have kind of come in and like tried to dig up what we were planting for ourselves and be like, no, you have to have this, in your garden, sort of like an HOA law. And so this chapter, what started coming through is the butterfly and butterfly medicine, which I think I remember you mentioning, like you had resonance with butterflies too when we first met in this project.
Yeah, one of the first decks I bought, Gabrielle Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back. And so I'm like starting to use the deck and like, okay, what is my sign from spirit? The card with the butterflies flew out. And I was like, okay, if I see butterflies, that's how I know, yes, keep going.
Yeah, so I declared 2023 my year of the butterfly, and then this chapter was born. And so my chapter is very much a metaphor about how, like, we are born, we start eating, right? We're just kind of consuming to survive. And then eventually we have this sort of aha moment, and we all have it at a different stage in our lives. Sometimes we're 18, sometimes we're 45. And we have this like, maybe what I've been consuming isn't the full answer. Maybe that's not really who I am, right? The stuff we've taken in from society. And then we go into our dark chrysalis and we have sort of that like dark night of the soul. And it's really ugly for a while, right? When we're in that like deep, dark despair pit. And then the light sort of starts to come through and we create ourselves anew. And then eventually we get to hatch as this beautiful butterfly. And yeah, butterflies are definitely signs of transformation. And as I've been writing this chapter, I've had like a huge aha moment because I've been a trauma therapist for 6 something years now, and plus the 3+ years of education. And I've had this aha, like, this isn't actually what I am. I am not a therapist. I'm a healer. I'm a guide. And really recognizing that despite consuming all of this knowledge, and all this knowledge is super useful for me in my future, like the script I had put in myself isn't really authentic to me. It's what I thought I had to do based on societal standards. So I'm still even going through this transformation. And I do think that we all go through sort of these butterfly stages repeatedly in life. Once we've done it the first time, then it's like, oh, well, what can I heal next? Or what can I work with next? What can I dive into the dark with? And like, go into the goo and the juice and the mess and like really redesign myself in the image that I am finding authentic to me. So,
Yeah. And that's what I love about working with the phases of the moon. And in my projects and in my work with people, I outline the specific energy of each phase, specific emotions that come up at each phase, specific tools and questions to work with then. And you start to, she really can help you start to perceive your own patterns, your own cycles of thought, behavior, and emotion in a new way, sort of like you're saying of, well, is this even mine? Is this programmed, or like where did I get this from? Or, maybe it was mine, but it's not serving me anymore. I'm not about it anymore. And knowing that, oh, there's a next phase coming, there's a next cycle coming. But when you do go into these, like the next transformation, the next level, the next layer of healing, it can be really helpful to see like, okay, I've been here before. Okay, this is normal. This is what phase I'm in. Okay, something good is coming. Okay. And it sort of helps you identify so you can sort of make it through. And then I find that helps to get out of this like overthinking cycle. Cause I don't know about you, but so many of my clients, they're so spiritually gifted and their upper chakras are just so wide open that it's just comfortable to be in this space.
yes.
Daydreaming, overthinking, thinking, dreaming, creating. But so my work is to really like come back into the body, calm, ground, and that's a lot of the outcome that I help others achieve in their own
Yeah.
way.
Oh, we just released a podcast episode on overthinking, our Living Luna podcast, actually. So, yes, it's a big, big thing. And I do think, like, spiritually, the more open we are, the more we can even fight with ego and that overthinking, because it's like we'll get that intuitive hit, and then ego's like, but wait, are you sure? Right? Morningstar asked if we know what moon, like what moon phase we were born under, and
That's the full moon for me, which is
it
why
was
it's my
full moon.
favorite. And I found often for others that tends to be a thing. Like whatever phase stands out to you, you're likely born under.
I am so curious now because I don't remember. I don't hold time information in my head at all. Like, so it's creatrix season. Today is the 3/3 portal, so very cool. We're doing this, and I'm a quantum creatrix. That's my star archetype design, and um, yeah, like divine timing is definitely super super potent right now. All right, let me look at my birthday here. How did you find, like, when did you truly recognize, oh, the moon is how I'm meant to like live my life? Okay, mine was apparently a waxing crescent just after a new moon. So,
You know, it was really just, I just kept going on the journey. And for me, it was just, oh, keep following your curiosity and keep staying with like what feels good. And even in the early stages of my spiritual awakening and development, like I would play, right? And so like, oh, I'm curious about this. Like, okay, what are angels? What angels should I work with? And before, I didn't dive into researching and, oh, I have to know and I'm going to read up. I was like, okay, let me practice, right, with my intuition, diving in, and sat in meditation and connected, and like what names came to me, I trusted. And then I looked it up sort of afterwards. And so that's really just been my whole sort of journey. And I don't know, maybe I was just having fun and loved it so much. I just kept with it and it worked. And then I learned more. I probably started with doing full moon rituals like regularly, and then slowly learned about each and every phase and realized that, oh, this could be fun to incorporate into mentorship projects and
Yes.
growth opportunities for other people. So yeah, I don't know. It's something I'm still rolling with.
Yeah, I just recently pulled my human design chart. I didn't know about human design until last year. And one of my channels is the rhythm channel. And I was like, how flippin' cool. Because I was already really like obsessed with the seasons. I've always loved the seasons. I've always loved the elements and like all the symbolic correspondence of things. And now I'm layering the moon in too, which was absolutely inspired by clients that I was working with as a therapist who were like, oh, I've started tracking my moods according to the moon cycle just to notice. And then I was like, oh, when that was said, like something shifted big time in me. I was like, how cool would it be to walk these rhythms with my clients? So, and then I meet people like you and I'm like, it's happening.
Amazing. How fun is this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah.
And I love like I've been to I love to go to people's events and kind of feel their different energy. And I love that we get to not compete, but just each shine in our own authentic energy. And like the people that are attracted to that energy are going to want to come to us, right? Like Jess, as a natural number 9, holds a very unique space that I can hold similar to, but I'm still a different flavor than her.
Mhm.
And I don't know what natural number you are. I'm super curious, but
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't
we
looked
need
it
to
up.
find out. We
Yeah,
definitely need to find out.
send me a
Um,
resource, or we'll have to put one attached to.
yes. Same with Jillian, because I went to one of Jillian. Jillian's another author in Soul Alchemy. And I went to one of her events and her energy was like exact opposite of mine. Like it was huge and vibrant and big. And like I was like, woo, pumped up. Whereas me, I'm like normally so mellow. Oh, Jess thinks you might be a 6. I don't know. We need to find
I
out.
don't know. We'll have to find out. Yeah, generally people are like, so before I don't know, it's interesting. Before I even really developed my program for spiritual entrepreneurs, moon magnetism, to go to their next level, to really heal and clear out these fears and old patterns and old emotions that were keeping them in self sabotage, people would always tell me, "Oh, you have such a mothering like energy. Like, oh my God, you're so calm." So yeah, I don't know, whatever numbers associated with that.
Yeah. And yes, so just for audience members who might not be as familiar, so life path numbers are numerology based, and body of 9, our natural number or our natural energy number, is entirely body based. It's not something you can look up on a birth chart. It's not a quiz you can take. It's literally something like people who have been studying this for years and years and years, like this goes back to ancient knowledge and is tied into numerology, but it's like a physical form. So when you're getting identified, like if you're at a distance, they have you look into the camera, they have you do body movements, they like watch these little micro movements in your body of how you breathe and how you smile and like all these things. And it is foundational to how I've understood how I show up in my spiritual gifts, especially because they consider it a physio-spiritual system, which I just love. Like how our body came in equipped to present our gifts. So very, very cool. I'm not going to take up our chat talking a ton about that. It's just, like I said, Body of 9 junkie. I've got the merch. I love it. It's really, really cool work. So
So love for the moon, something that's more recent as far as incorporating it into your life and your work.
Say that again. Sorry.
Your love for the moon and
Mhm.
energy, is it something that's more recent in your
Mm.
personal life or in your work, or tell me a little bit about?
I would say historically, I did a drawing down the moon ritual in like a very traditional pagan circle led by a Wiccan once upon a time back when I was 18. And that was kind of my first introduction to, oh, we can like soak in these moonbeams. And like I felt something with that. And for me, it's always about feeling it in my body. When I can feel it in my body and it settles in as like peace or safety or coming home or something like that, that's when I'm like, keep following this. Uh, and then, yeah, for years and years and years, it was really just the new moon, full moon. Like, I would acknowledge them and I'd pay attention to my energy. I was a public school teacher for 7 years. Let me tell you about full moon energy in a public school. Not good. Oh my gosh. Um, so yeah, like I really started to notice it during that time, like, oh, there's really some kind of impact that we tangibly feel here. And that definitely got me curious. But then as a therapist, I was also diving more into creating my own spiritual rituals, like off on the side to just play with it and see if that's where I wanted to go. And that's when I started working with the moon more specifically. Now, I don't think I am anywhere near as in depth as you because, like, we have our Living Luna brand, which is lunar themed. And I have a sacred moon circle that's not all about the moon. We just happen to meet on full moon and new moon, and we have this lunar symbolism, so that's why it's called that. But like you, I have this sense have far more of an understanding of like the astrology too that's going on. So do you have any, I'm really curious, like this upcoming full moon, like are you getting any juicy astrological information that people should hear?
It's interesting that you say that because I've studied moonology with Yasmin Boland, but I haven't dove deep into the study of astrology. I love like reading about it, and every time I do, I'm like, oh my god, like of course, like this is what I'm seeing reflected in me and my peers and the people who do this work and beyond. But yeah, mostly for me, it's kind of like what you were saying. It's like my purpose is almost like to ground it and to like come home and meet yourself and nurture yourself and find that love for yourself again. And again, when you do that, it like can transform literally any area of your life. It can help you reach any goal by coming back into this empowered divine feminine energy of connecting with those emotions and connecting with subtle energy and letting things be messy for a little bit, and slowing down and resting. Like, oh, I
Mm.
cannot tell you how many beautiful breakthroughs that I've seen with clients who either bring in more sales or like finally start the business that they've wanted to and stop working for other people, or how relationships have changed because people have come back to that. But I can say, just feeling into this energy, like March is an epic freaking energy. I don't know if you're feeling it yet. Like
I mean, creatrix season, like I said, that's why I'm in my red today.
we're in, like we've just been feeling like some of these denser dark energies. It's almost been like a collective like detox purging that can be really tough. Like I want to honor that. And it's like March is like, okay, we're starting to come out. We're starting to see the little specks of light, and it's like, go, that thing that you want to do, take action on it. Like let it be the smallest possible step, but
Yes.
go forward towards that. And this is like, I feel like it's a momentum gaining sort of energy where like April is going to be like explosive for those who
Mm.
do start to take action and start to get organized a little bit. Like we're sort of coming into almost like what we're talking about, sort of grounding and using some of these masculine principles of taking the practical action, like having these little baby steps. And it's more of a focus I've noticed on like the day to day what you're doing. Like I was
Mhm.
just talking with a client the other day, and she was sort of getting lost in like the big goal and how am I going to reach my big goal? How am I going to make this $20,000? That's my goal. And it's like, you're not going to see it. You're not going to see each and every step. Like that paradigm is dead. There's no traditional path to follow. Like it's about connecting with your own energy and what you
Yes.
love and lights you up, and doing that in like the day to day, like little steps that, yes, sometimes is business related, but sometimes is just your personal energy. Yeah. Hopefully that makes that
Yeah,
makes
no, I'm
sense.
feeling,
I'm so excited because I feel it. I can feel it in my body.
yeah, I'm feeling it too. Like I'm noticing this incredible surge of creative energy. And January and February, I came into, so I've mentioned star archetypes and like it's creatrix season. So 1/1 portal belongs to the analyst star archetype. And normally that's like pre-spring cleaning. The analyst gets so organized, and I was like, I'm gonna get in the analyst energy. My boyfriend's an analyst, and dive into all this stuff that's gonna prepare me for March. And then the energy was like, no, no, you're not.
He's
You're
like,
gonna sit.
rest,
Just rest.
rest. Like, yeah, no.
And then February came along, 2/2 way shower. Way shower is all about, walking our talk and just showing up. And I'm like, now way shower energy? Can I like channel some stuff? I did. I did some private channeling and tuned into some ancestral energy, but it was still like, no, 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 no. It's not time to
Not
like do
quite
the big
yet. Maybe
thing.
some relationship building, maybe talking a little bit more, but
Yes.
not quite. Yeah, not quite
All
active.
of that. Yeah, absolutely. And then now I'm like, okay, now it's go time. And I'm like, I couldn't sleep last night because I was buzzing.
Right? It's just like, okay, I'm
I
ready
was like,
to play.
creatrix.
And a lot of those, so you can even take it back to the end of last year too. Like a lot of people, a lot of sensitive intuitives or empaths might have got a lot of downloads, like a lot of creative ideas, but you haven't really like started those projects yet. Like go back to those reflections and like pick one to focus on and like run with it.
Yeah, that's great advice for people right now, I think. Like, to really go back to those dreams, those visions that we were having sort of as it got dark last year. And now it is like, now's the seed planting time. Now we're moving towards spring. We've got full moon energy here. It's creatrix season. Like there's all this really juicy cosmic stuff if you choose to lean into that symbolism. And if you don't, just
It's
notice
okay.
what's there
Yeah.
for you. There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong with just being you and noticing what's coming up. You don't have to believe in all the alternative stuff, the tools, I just see them as information that we can choose to ingest and decide if it's right for us. And the more that I talk with people like you and meet more people like me that choose to look at this symbolism and these blueprints and whatnot, the more I'm seeing empowered people. Because they're like, I own this aspect of my design. Like, I own that I chose this for me, or I embodied in this way, or this is who I am. And very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, and they're starting to come out of the woodwork a little bit more and more as, people like you, people like myself talk about it and are like, this is so exciting. This is how I incorporate it into my life. And they're like, ooh, I do that. And they start talking about it a little bit more, which is amazing. I love that we're in this period now where it's sort of safe to talk
Mhm.
about, right? We can go into sort of past lives or even, decades ago where it's like, no, you're going to be shunned or shamed for being able to connect to this subtle energy and trying to talk about it and express it and be like, there's this thing that maybe you can't see, but I can see, like Morningstar was talking about earlier in the comments.
Yeah. And I I do think that there are a lot of people that are still afraid to lean into this stuff for exactly what you just said, like the fear of being discriminated against and shamed. And I mean, I've had to
Reject.
deal with plenty of that.
Oh,
Absolutely. And only you get to determine your worth. Only you get to determine what's right for you. And you do get to decide whether you believe what other people are saying, right? So if other people are saying like, you're a terrible person for liking moonology cards or oracle decks or tarot or whatever, what does that, say about their trauma, their fear, their scarcity model, their one-way thinking that literally comes from trauma?
Yeah, and it's not about correcting them or teaching them. It's just
Right.
about for yourself. Do I want to stay in this energy? Do I want to be around them? Like, is that
Exactly.
what I want to stay in? No, probably not. Like, lean into like what feels good. Like, I explain it all the time. Intuition more so as like a feeling. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a feeling when it sort of uplifts you, when it feels sort of lighter in your body and your mind, versus like fear is like really dense and you can feel your body like constrict and tighten, and that's a
Mm-hmm.
no. Like for
Yeah.
me anyways, those are no signs. And that sort of lighter, even if it doesn't make logical sense, right, is a yes.
That's
So
so
hopefully.
interesting. Yeah, for me as a natural number 9, fear's my Achilles heel. And sometimes fear is what shows me I need to move in that direction. So this is like a perfect example of like, we need to really tune into what is our signal. Because for me, if I'm frozen in fear, it just means I don't have all the answers. I don't have the bigger picture for how to pull it together yet. So that's when I know I need to ask for support on, okay, there's threads I'm not able to see here myself. And when I'm not in fear, my yes and no signals are leanings in my body. I can just feel. I lean back
Ooh.
towards my 9, which is the center of the shoulder blades, for yes, and I lean forward for no, because I'm moving away from my power center. So that's, I think, so important for each individual to kind of figure out, like, what are their signals for yes and no. And like for you, that might be fear. For me, fears become the
Yeah,
companion.
I like to like play it for a decision, right? So I'll think about one option, like, do I want to eat whatever turkey sandwich today, and like then tune in with my body and see how it feels, and if it's starting to like, ooh, like constrict a little bit, okay, I'm noticing that. And then okay, do I want to eat like an apple and some almond butter? Ooh, that feels lighter. Okay, yes. And I agree sometimes with what you were saying of like sometimes that fear, it often that fear is there for your next up level, right? When it's like a big, especially like a big investment,
Right.
right? Like I remember investing thousands of dollars like in a coach, but similar to the story I shared earlier with Jess, it's like, oh, like there's something that just like, yeah, let's saying yes. Like internally my body, like my mind, my intuitive voice is screaming yes, but I'm also like starting to bubble up with the fear of those old stories of like, how am I gonna like pay that off? How am I gonna pay for that?
Yep.
Like, what if it doesn't work out? Which are all fear, right? Stories. And so, yeah, it's interesting to sort of be on this path and sort of witness these patterns and then make a decision of like, yes. And so sometimes for a bigger decision for me, like that yes, a voice, even though all that fear is still there, I still like I choose to lean into. But yeah, that's why I think spiritual practice is really important to sit with and be consistent with, because it helps you witness these internal signals and these body signals so that you can connect more deeply with your guidance system, your intuition.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was thinking, because I know we could probably chat for the rest of the day about moon stuff.
Oh my god.
And
Okay, good.
I'm heading away to go to a flower show this weekend, which is super exciting. And I know that you've got some stuff going on today too. So I was thinking we could wrap our call maybe by pulling some cards for whoever's
Ooh, okay.
tuning in, to just like be aware of maybe what energy is coming up in the moon.
That's fun.
Something to
Let's
pay
do that.
attention to. So I have several decks here, so I'm going to see what deck you're going to grab to decide. I love the insight of this. Let the moon be your guide. Welcome, Chloe. Glad to see you here. We're going to just do a quick card draw for the full moon coming up. Each of us will pull. Oh, Sacred Spirit. Beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle while you're still pulling cards out. I'm just going to see what wants to come out here. And I'm just asking any angels, ancestors, guardians, guides, gods, goddesses, universal energy, higher selves, any messages that need to come through for anyone watching. And here we go. Conclusions are within reach. Oh, that beautiful art.
And it's a full moon, is it not?
Well, this is a full moon eclipse card. Interesting. So obviously there's not an actual eclipse coming up right now, but we still are having this eclipse energy within this full moon in ourselves. That card flung itself right at the floor, so it really wanted to come out. We have work through your fears, and this is a new moon in Scorpio card. And then I'm getting the sense I want a third. Here we go. You and your loved ones are safe. And this is new moon in Cancer. So what I'm seeing here is kind of what we were just talking about. Like, there was this time of a lot of fear, a lot of darkness, a lot of emotional turmoil that was coming up for many of us collectively. And now is really where we get to lean in to knowing that we're working through our fears. This is the heart of the matter right now, is we are working through our fears from within this loving heart space. The challenge is remembering that our loved ones are safe in that, right? This financial fear, or oh my gosh, how am I going to get to where I'm trying to go? We need to remember that. And another person in my healing collective just did a reading the other day that said, like, you and your family are going to be okay, even if like the financial fear is there right now, which I feel like a lot of us are feeling. So that's kind of what's coming through for me here. And then the conclusions within reach. This is the strength card. And this is saying, like, if we can go within and tune into this energy that is here, the conclusion's right there. What we need to know is right there. We just have to tune into it and allow ourselves to get into that energy. So that's what I'm getting from this.
That, yeah. And what I was hearing too is like, you're always supported, you're always being guided. So lean into the joy. Like, you are here to experience joy. Like, yes, we're vast and we can experience a whole wide array of emotions. And if you need to let go of any of those, I can certainly help you. But lean into the joy despite the fear.
Yeah.
Aiming for that conclusion. All right, so let's see. I'm going to say what needs to be released collectively. What is something to take a look at for this full moon coming up? Because her energy is going to be with us starting this weekend. So you can really work with the full moon energy 3 days before and 3 days after, usually is sort of that peak energy container. All right, so we've got the number 31, secret temptation, being led astray. And so when I see this, it's reminding me of like how powerful our mind is, and how right when you're ready to take like a new action or go in a new direction, it's like that old pattern gets louder, and it's like, wait. You haven't done this before. Like, no, this is how we handle this situation. And so be careful, be cautious to take that as a sign of not doing it, like I shouldn't do it. Oftentimes I refer to this as almost like a full moon moment, like a peak moment where the energy, right, just like the full moon, she's so bright and beautiful and clear in the sky, like that energy sort of peaks. And if you keep going, right, if you don't allow yourself to be led astray, like magic can unfold. And you even have sort of like these twin owls here, which often connect to that symbol of intuition or even vision with owls, right? So it's like, what have you been daydreaming about? What have you like been sort of manifesting? I don't know. I'm a pretty visual person. My clairvoyance is fairly strong. And so for me, when I'm manifesting, right, I was doing a meditation before we hopped on this live, and connecting to, my mastermind and seeing it full, and seeing the women connecting and me being in my element and getting to share these practices that, I know work and I've seen work for other people. So lean into that vision and just be be cautious. Be cautious of sort of that strong pattern that comes up, and as it does, hopefully you can allow yourself to release that and let it go. Right? Recognize that, ooh, okay, here's that old pattern telling me to, well, be cautious and not follow my dream. Okay, I hear you, old pattern. Done with you. Not working. I'm ready to lean into my dream. So hopefully you can resonate with that.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes so hand in hand with the overthinking we were talking about earlier, right? We've got to acknowledge these parts of us that are so ingrained in our old patterns, our societal patterns, our outdated modes, and we can be done with that pattern and still welcome that part to come along and hold our hand and, be honored in what they provided for us to survive to this point
Yes.
without letting them continue to run the show. So, Kaitlyn, how can people work with you if they want to come work with you and find out more?
Yes. So you can follow me on Instagram, Intuitive Moon Mentor. You can join my Facebook group, Moon Manifesting Lunar Abundance. We always have amazing magic going on in there. And for the month of March, I am so freaking pumped. If you're ready to let go of some of these old patterns we've been talking about today, if you're ready to own your power, if you're ready to own your energy, if you're ready to own your emotions and your life and create the life you've been dreaming of, I hope that you decide to join the OWN Mastermind, which is starting 21, which I just love the symbolism of that as well. Like
That
3, 2,
sounds
1, like
juicy.
go. It's a beautiful group program and container. And you can comment Lunar, or you can reach out to me and message me, and we can chat about that. But there's 10 spots available in there, and I am so pumped for the amazing women who are ready to show up.
Yes. So that is good to know. So your circles are mainly for women?
Yeah, typically, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So if you are LGBTQIA or an ally and you want to do magic work, transformation work, whatever, that's my wheelhouse. So I love being parts of women's circles and whatnot. And then I was like, okay, now for me, the queer folks, because I'm the queer spirit guide. So I love that. And that's going back to like, we're going to attract the perfect people for us, which I think is so
Exactly.
cool. Like you get to have this beautiful women's circle, and I'm going to have my radically queer rainbow circle over here. So I have a Sacred Moon Circle program. It's not all lunar stuff. We have tea time, coaching chats, and manifest your month. At the end of the month, we do some mindset work for the month. I also offer individual one-on-one services. So if my energy speaks to you, I would love for you to reach out. And I just love that we get to introduce each other to our aligned audiences and help, find the right people that are ready to work with us.
Yes.
And yes, Jess,
Don't. She's amazing, guys.
my Elton John glasses over here. These are my Creatrix glasses. They're the I need to be fabulous and shine my red vibrant light. So if you want to talk and be a part of my community, we also have a Facebook circle, but Discord is where we really hang out. And Discord is more fun, less business. We kind of hang out, play video games, post memes and animal pics and stuff like that. So you can find my Discord information on any of my pages or livinglunas.com. So thank you so much, Kaitlyn, for this chat. This was super fun, and it's so cool to like feel that resonance with you and just like the similarities in our paths. And I hope that the people that tuned into this really get something out of it. I think that there were a lot of really important gems of wisdom in here that were distilled through. So thank you.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, thank you. It was so fun chatting with you today. And happy moon manifesting, everyone.
Yes, happy full moon, and keep your eyes open for Soul Alchemy, which is the project that Kaitlyn and I are in, and it is going to be so cool.
Yeah.
All right, have a great weekend or whatever it is, wherever you are, and many blessings to you. Bye for now.